If you were looking for the inside scoop on how Donald Trump is dealing with the legal storm that he's in, I've got just the right video for you. Kid Rock just went on Tucker Carlson's show on X and basically said the quiet part out loud when it comes to Trump's indictments and cases. Kid Rock was more candid here than I've ever seen him, shedding his abrasive exterior and actually revealing how the former president is doing on a personal level. So let's get into it.
You've seen Trump a lot recently. How's he doing?
Toughest son of a bitch on the earth. I tell you, he's doing great. It's incredible. I can relate to him in a lot of ways as somebody who might speak out of turn a little bit and say what's on his mind. But, you know, I think if you look at his track record and who he is as a whole, there's a lot more good there than anything.
I would honestly take Kid Rock's word for it over what the MSM says, including the ladies over at The View. There's nothing they'd love more than to imagine Donald Trump sulking in silence over the complex legal web he finds himself in. Over the years, Kid Rock's association with the former president has grown, but you can actually trace back their relationship over 2 decades. Now, as one of his most regular golfing partners, Kid Rock has had a closer look at the man battling a hailstorm from the media and courts. I wasn't even surprised to hear that Trump remains largely unfazed personally. You can disagree with many things about him, as even we sometimes do, but there's an ego to Trump that just doesn't let him fall to his knees or even let it be shown to the public. Now, sure, that ego makes him fly off the handle sometimes, I agree, but it's also given him that fight inside that refuses to make him accept failure and defeat.
You've been with Trump a bunch of times since he got indicted and the world has kind of crashed in around him. How does he seem?
Can't tell.
Really?
No. I mean, when we're golfing or we're hanging out in different scenarios here and there, it's his spirits are always up, and he's always talking about this country. He's always talking about this country and how he wants to win for it. He likes to win at anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Anything. When we're golfing, like, you know, I won $100 from him at the UFC. I don't think he was too happy about it.
Going back to the same point, it's funny because just last month in November, much of the mainstream media saw Donald Trump in pretty high spirits at the UFC 295, which I can guarantee must have been a stark contrast to what they would have wanted to see. I actually think Kid Rock's point about Trump always talking about the country ties into something else I've thought about before. When you're in your late 70s and have accomplished pretty much everything you've ever wanted, you need something bigger than yourself to keep you going. Perhaps that's what Trump has realized, especially after his presidency, and in part why he wants to be back. You need a reason to get up every day, and he may have found that reason. He's spoken about this idea being drilled into his mind by his father, who often used to say, quote, "To retire is to expire." Look at it this way. I don't think even Donald Trump himself would trade in the legal and political challenges for a life of comfort and complacency. Because that's where the meaning to sustain life actually comes from.
I've never seen anybody who wants to win for this country like that guy. I don't think we'll ever see anything like it in our lifetime. To me, he's the greatest president we've had.
And he's unaffected, in your experience, by everything that's happening.
Oh, is he pissed off? Sure.
Yeah, but he doesn't seem broken at all.
I don't want to speak out of school, you know, but, yeah, who's not going to hem and haw a little bit about the people that are doing this to him? You know, these people in New York. It's a freaking joke.
Yeah.
I mean, one Google search on Zillow. Property in Palm Beach. There's like a couple acres that comes up on the water. It's $200 million.
Yeah.
And they're like, Mar-a-Lago's only worth $17 million. It's like, well, you are a stupid son of a if you say that.
Yeah.
You know what? I actually went ahead and did exactly that. With one of the more interesting cases, even from a purely financial viewpoint, Trump is being accused of inflating the value of his Mar-a-Lago estate on Palm Beach to secure a big loan. What do the judges at the New York Supreme Court think it's worth? A meager $8 million, while Trump's defense actually puts it north of $300 million. Doing that quick Zillow search, you easily get a ballpark for which figure is more true. Estates more than a couple acres in Palm Beach, Florida, can go upwards of $152 million, while Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort is built on a massive 17 acres. Add to this the fact that Trump actually bought the property in 1985 for $10 million, and the figure of $18 million doesn't even adjust for inflation. But all of that is beside the point to some degree. Whichever way the legal case turns out, it's interesting to see Kid Rock double down on his public support for the former president, even as many of his former colleagues jump ship or turn on him.
He takes loans from the bank, whatever, he pays them all back. Everybody makes money. There's no crime here.
Yeah.
I just, they're just, it's completely, anybody who can't see they're fucking with him is just blinded.
Yeah.
I know the guy speaks out of turn a little bit, says some things. I can relate.
Yes.
I do it myself, quite often because I just say what's on my mind, and I can get that. But I don't know how you look at his track record and what he did and how he had this country fired on all cylinders when he was in office. Everybody working, our military is the strongest. He's leading with, strength and our borders, under control, just energy independent. You could go on and on.
There's a nostalgia for the Trump era in much of America right now, and perhaps the relatively more peaceful world at the time is one thing to remember. With all the legal troubles surrounding Donald Trump in recent years, there may be a silver lining for many of his base. Much of the chaff that attached to him for notoriety has fallen off, and only the true core of his supporters and allies now stand by him. That's at least one thing that Donald Trump's base can look forward to when it comes to the next election.